Hello all, welcome to oratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about two set of commands in SQL, that is DML as well as TCL. The DML stands for Data Manipulation Language and TCL stands for Transaction Control Language. And here, overall, we'll be discussing about the six commands of SQL: insert, update, delete, as well as commit, rollback, and save point. Okay, so let us get into agenda. So we'll try to understand about this particular two concept of DML as well as TCL, and also we'll see some of the samples related to DML as well as TCL. Okay, so let's start with the DML. So these are some of the DML commands in Oracle database: insert, update, and delete. So let us see what is a overview of the insert command. What exactly insert is all about? So what is the syntax of insert is all about? So when you perform insert command execution in the database, it performs insertion of record in a particular table. Okay, so here if you observe the syntax, it is very simple syntax. You have a command called insert into, followed by table name, followed by the list of column names in the specified table name, values, and in the parenthesis we have to mention the list of values corresponding to the list of columns which we mentioned after the table name. So here if you observe, in this one, right, this is a table name, and here we have to mention the list of columns. If you don't mention the list of columns here, what you have to do is you have to mention all the values which are available in the table name. Okay, so generally it corresponds to the values. What are the values which you mentioned that will get corresponded to the columns which you mentioned in the table name. Okay, so every column, if you're not available, if you're not aware of what are the columns available in a particular table name, you have to use a describe command to find out what are the list of columns available and what is their data types. When you are passing the values should correspond to the respective data types also. Nothing but, let us say, if you are trying to insert a number for the date, it will not work, right? So you have to always make sure that you pass the appropriate values. And also, let us say, if you're not inserting all the columns in a table, you can mention the columns only the columns which you want to insert, and the remaining columns will set it to null by default. Okay, and now one more important thing is what are the insert command whenever you use any DML, not only just insert, whenever you use the insert, update, or delete, either if you're using the insert, update, delete in the PL SQL, you can use the implicit cursor called SQL percentile row count to find out how many rows it has performed the insertion, updation, or deletion. Okay, this is one of the way you can find out the success of a particular DML statement. And also, all the DML statements, the insert, update, and delete, they require an explicit commit. Until unless you perform a commit, data will not be persisted to the database. Okay, so let us see some samples of insert command. If you observe the first particular two statements, it is just for the purpose of creating a table, and other we are trying to extract data from a particular table. And here, if you observe in this insert command, what I've done is I'm trying to insert all the values. Okay, I'm trying to insert all the values. So now this is one of the way we can write it. If at all, if you don't want to write this particular bigger statement, what we can do now, let us say, what I'll do is I'll just go to my database. So let me show you in select star from xxot This is my table. This table is a replica of the EMP table, or you can use any other table whichever you are comfortable with. Okay, so now in this particular table, I have around 8 columns. So if you observe, describe ext xxotmp, so I have total 8 columns, right? 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and also all can be null. All can be null. Okay, so there is none of the parameter can be mandatory in my table, but if you have mandatory, until unless you insert it, it will not work. Okay, now if you observe this example here, what I'm trying to do is, let us say, if I just use this one, what it will do, it'll insert a record, right? It clearly tells you how many rows it inserted. Okay, now this is one way of inserting the values. Let us say I don't want to mention any column name, so let us try whether it works or not. Insert into table name, I've not mentioned any column names, but I just mentioned values. Just try, it is working fine. Okay, but now let us say I don't want to insert all the columns. Okay, let us say I want to insert only few columns on a table. Then if you don't mention the column name, let us see whether it works or not. Now here, if you observe, right, let us say I just want to say I just want to insert only EMP number and just try to insert. Now can you see it is telling not enough values? Okay, so the basic concept here is, if you don't mention any column names, it assumes that you have to pass all the column names, all the column values, I mean. So but what is the way it corresponds is here, if you observe, when you just describe the table name, right? So the ordering in which it displays, the ordering in which it displays, it also it corresponds the values accordingly. Now here, if you observe, this is my EMP number, this is my EMP name, here this is my job, like this. Even though I have not mentioned the column names, it considers the sequence like this. Okay. And also here, if you observe, how does the Oracle knows the column name sequence is? Like here, if you observe in the select star from all tab calls, where table name is equal to, okay, in this one we'll have a column position also. Column, can you see? I'll mention order by column ID. Okay. Now from here, if you observe, this is a positioning which Oracle considers while inserting the values if you don't mention the column name. Okay. But it is always a good practice to always mention the column names, because there is always a chance that, like the column names can get, I mean to say, like you can add up more columns, or column names can be changed, some columns can be dropped. So there's always a chance of changes in your database, right? So that is the reason, always preferably you always need to mention the column name. Okay. Now, like as we said you like earlier that, like any of the DML statement always require a explicit commit, right? Now let us, if I roll back, what are the changes we have done will get cleared from the temporary staging area. Now let us see the update. So insert, what is the insert will do? Insert will insert a record. What is the update will do? Update will update set of records or set of columns. I mean to say, like when you perform an update, what may happen is it may affect n number of rows. Okay, it may affect a single row or n number of rows, and also n number of columns or a single column. Okay, all or also like a 0 rows or a 0 columns, I can say. It all depends upon the condition which you mention, right? Here, if you observe in the update syntax, you just need to mention update, a table name, set a column name and the value. Like what is the value you want to update for what is the value you want to update for a particular column, and on what condition. So where condition is not mandatory. What is the mandatory is just you have to mention the update command, table name, followed by set, followed by column name as well as column value. You can mention n number of columns as well as the values respectively. Okay. Now, what are the column name which you mentioned? That should be appropriate column name from the table you mentioned. Okay. Now, just see this particular set of examples here. Here, if you observe the first example, what we are trying to do is, I don't have any where condition. I'm trying to set the manager value for all the records to null. And the second syntax here, if you observe, I mentioned a where condition here. I'm trying to update the commission percentage is equal to 10, where the department number is equal to 10. Wherever the department number is equal to 10, for all those particular employees, the commission will be set to 10. And here, if you observe the third example, so I'm using a cursor, right? I'm using a subquery or a cursor. I'm using a query or a subquery. So what I'm trying to do is, I just want to get what is the employee number of the king, and I want to set the manager ID or manager is equal to the employee number of the king for all the employees who are available in the xxot_emp table. So you can have your update statement based on the select also, right? Even insertion, updation, delete, all can be done based on a select also. Okay. Select can be used in those particular three DML statements. Okay. For update also, you require an explicit commit. Until unless you mention the commit, it will not work, right? So let us see some samples of the update. Select star from xxot_emp. Okay. So now let us say update emp. So what I want to do is set commission is equal to emp number by 10, some an log based kind of percentage. Okay, let's see whether it works or not. Okay, can you see? It says 21 rows updated. Just see the latest commission. Now here, if you observe, what is the latest commission? So it crossed 100%, right? It crossed 100%, but this is available only temporarily, right? So now let us say I'll just roll back. Roll back completed. And here, if you observe the employee table again, you don't see any commission, right? What are the commission which was there earlier? It is there. For few of the employees, it is null. For few of the employees, it is some old value which is already there. Okay. So this is how you can perform a rollback, and this is how you can perform an update. Or let us say if you want to apply the update based on a particular where condition, what you can do? Let us say emp where department is equal to 20. Okay. Set hire date is equal to sysdate. So wherever the department number is equal to 20, I want to set their hire date as, okay, some syntax wrong here. Update employee table, set column name, and this is my where condition. Let us say if you want to set two columns, you want to set the value for two columns, you can do that way also. Now let us say I want to update the salary with salary plus 9,999. I want to update the salary as well as I want to update the department. I want to update the hire date as well as the salary. Now just see, before executing that, just see the set of records with the department 20, whether how many records you have it. Okay, can you see? What I'll do is I'll try to open another worksheet to just compare how it is working fine. Okay, so now I'll just execute here first of all. Now salary is this one. Okay, and high date is somewhere in the 81s, 80s, like that. Now just execute this particular command now. Execute this command. Okay, okay, set. This is dptno. 5 rows got updated. Now just execute this query. Okay, can you see? Now the high date got updated 21 Jan, as well as salary got updated to some other value, right? Now here if you observe, even though I logged in with the same particular user, why it is reflecting, even the data was not committed, right? But the basic thing is, when you're using the SQL developer, if you open a number of opening a worksheet doesn't mean a new transaction. First thing is, opening a new worksheet doesn't mean a new transaction. Okay, I mean it's a new login or a new transaction. It doesn't consider as a new transaction. So you're still in the same logged in user session. I mean to say session. If you open any of the new worksheet here, you are still in the same session of the user. Okay. Now let us say what I'll do is, I just want to tell you one more thing now. Let us say I'll try to open my database using the another tool. Now what I'll do is, I'll just try to execute the same query. I'll try to execute the same query, but we should not see this particular result. We have to see the old result which was there before the update, before the database, before the update. Okay. Can you see? The date which you're saying is the old one, and the salaries which you're saying is the old one, right? It is not yet committed. The session which you're using from SQL developer is different from the session which you're using from the Toad. Okay. Until unless you commit it, it will not get committed to the database. Till that point of time, it will be in the normal cache area, temporary working area. Now coming to the next one, deletion. So what is the purpose of delete? Delete is for the purpose of dropping the set of records from the table or deleting the set of records from the table. Okay, when you perform a delete, it can either delete all the records, or it can delete a single record, or it can delete none of the records. Okay, it all depends upon what is the condition which you mention, and where condition is not mandatory for the delete, but if you mention, it will work accordingly. Now in our case, let us say if I try to mention delete from xxot_emp, what will happen? It says 21, it should say 21 records deleted, right? Okay, it is still executing. Better I'll use the another one. Let me roll back first. I just roll back because now I'll try to execute from here. Delete from xxot_emp. Okay, it says 21 rows deleted. Okay, but if we try to execute from here, from the Toad, which is a different session, you still see the data, right? Because we have not yet committed. We have not yet committed. Now it says 21 rows deleted. But here, if you try to see the data, if you try to execute now, what will happen? It will not show any data. Because in this particular session, from the SQL developer session, all the data is removed, but it is not yet committed to the permanent database. Now let us say, how do you mention the where condition in the delete? Let us see that. Now let us say delete from emp where department no is equal to 20. So it will delete all the records where it is matching the department number is equal to 20. So whichever the records it is satisfying, it will delete those set of records. Let us say I'll mention some junk department number, like something like 1,000, and see what will happen. This DML statement will never give an error. Even if it doesn't delete any data, it will not give any error. Okay, can you see? It says simply says 0 records deleted. That's it. Now coming back. Yeah, so these are some of the examples of delete. So the first example we saw it already, second also we saw it, and third one here if you observe, I am trying to delete all the set of departments, all the set of employees where the department number I'm getting from the subquery. So this particular inner query is returning me two department numbers with the name sales and operation. It returns me the department number of those particular sales and operations, and for those set of matching records, we'll be deleting the records. Okay, we'll be deleting the data for those set of matching records. Okay, now coming to the next one, transaction control language. What are the DML operation which we have considered? For those particular DML statements, these particular TCL commands will apply. Nothing but whenever you perform any DML commands, whenever you execute any DML set of commands, these particular TCL can be applied on them. Either commit or rollback or a save point you can apply on them. So let us start with this commit first of all. What commits do? Commits will commit the current transaction and make the changes permanent to the database. Okay, that is what commit is all about. So what is a rollback? What are the temporary changes which are available in the cache that will get cleared? It is nothing but like what are the temporary changes which are about to be updated to the database permanently. They'll be cleared from the cache, or they'll be cleared to the specified save point. So save point is nothing but like whenever you perform a transaction, you can mention the save point name. So whenever you perform a rollback, so either it will roll back to the initial transaction or it will roll back to the save point whichever you mention. Okay, so that is what save point is all about. Let us see the some sort of some more detailed information of these three things. Okay, so let's start with the commit. So now let us say when you execute any DML operation, what happens before you commit a transaction, as well as what happens after you perform a commit to the transaction. So before you commit a transaction, what will happen? What are the changes you have done that will be visible to the only to the user of that particular session? No other user or developer, no other user can see the data, right? No other user can see the data because it is not yet committed to the database. And if you roll back, what will happen? It will just simply get cleared from the temporary memory area. And now what will happen after you commit a transaction? The changes will be visible to you as well as to all the developers or to all the users of your database. And once you commit the database, you cannot, even if you apply rollback, it's of no use. Okay. Now coming to the next one, rollback. So what exactly rollback will do? A rollback will end the current transaction, whatever the data which is there for the updation to the, permanent updation to the database, that will get cleared. Okay, it's nothing but it reverses all the set of data. And when you perform a rollback, it will just erases all its save points. What are the save points which you have? It will just simply roll back all the save point if you don't mention the save point name. Okay, and also releases any transaction logs. And there is another consideration of rollback. Other one is like when you're trying to roll back to the particular transaction, particular like a save point name, like a rolling back the transaction only to a specific save point. When you are executing any of your particular transactions, you can also mention the save points, right? So when you can also roll back to a specific save point. So in those kind of scenarios, what happens is, let us say you have a save point A, B, C, and when you mention roll back to save point C, what will happen is, what are the data which you have committed after the save point C, that will get rolled back till C, it will be available. Similarly, when you are trying to roll back to B, what will happen is, what are the set of updates which you have done after rollback, what are the updates which you have done after B, that will get lost, and the data between A and B will be sustaining. So that is what rollback to a particular save point is all about. Let us see with the examples, then we can easily understand. So what does the save point do? It just marks a particular save point for a transaction so that you can either perform a rollback to a specific thing. So that like you can, based on your business condition, you can either roll back to a particular state, or you can commit all the data. That is the purpose of a save point. Okay. Now let us see this set of examples now. So I'll just copy these particular statements and let us see one by one. Now let's start with the first one. So now here, if you observe, what I want to do is I'm trying to perform updation of all the set of employees with the manager is equal null. Okay, so now what will happen? It will simply update all the records. But here, if you observe, if you mention commit, what will happen? It will commit to the database, but I don't want to do it. I'll just simply roll back as of now. So let's start with the first one. So now here, if you observe, I just have update command. I'm trying to set the commission value to 20 here. Okay, I'll execute these particular two statements. Okay, now can you see it says save point 10 as well as 21 rows updated. Okay, now what you try to do is, before executing the other one, just try to execute this one. Try to execute this one. Now you should see that commission is updated to 10 for all the employee records. Okay. Now without performing any commit or rollback, what I'll do is I'll just try to execute the line number 6 and 7. Okay. Now it says save point is 20 and 21 records updated, and just see what will happen to the set of data in the employee table. Now it got updated to 20. Where is it 10? 10 gone. Now 20 came. Try to execute the same thing again, line number 9 and 10, and try to execute the data. Now you should see the 30. Now what happened? 10 gone, 20 gone, and 30 came. Now what I'll do is, I don't want to see this particular save point 30. What I want to do is, here if you observe this, there are two scenarios. Either you can roll back to the initial transaction, nothing but before update, or you can roll back to a specific save point. We have 3 save points, right? 30, 20, and 10. So now what I want to do is, I want to mention roll back to 30. If I roll back to 30, what will happen? So whatever the data which I have done, so what see in the save point 30, what I have done, I have updated to 30, and after that I mentioned save point 30. Now if I mention roll back to 30, see what will happen now. Rollback completed, and see the data now, right? Can you see? Rollback to 30. So till 30, whatever I have it is still there. Okay. Now let us say, if I say roll back to 20, what will happen is, whatever the data between 30 and 20 will get lost. Nothing but above 20 will be there. After 20 to 30, everything after 20, whatever you have done, that will get lost, right? Just here, roll back to 20. Now if I try to re-execute, can you see? I have 20. Now if I mention roll back to 10, okay, now you should see 10. If I mention roll back totally, or if you try to re-execute roll back to 10, see what will happen. It says this rollback is not available. Or can you see? Okay, it is still says, it is saying rollback completed. And now just see here, there is no difference, right? It still says rollback. It is getting rolling back to 10, but like there is no changes. Now mention the ultimate rollback, and you should see the old data which you have done before any updation. Can you see? So this is what about rollback. But if at all, if you have committed somewhere, your rollback will not work, isn't it? Now let us say, what I'll do is, I've done this one. Okay. Okay. Now I'm doing again 20. Okay. Now let us say, I'll just simply say rollback to 10. Can you see? It says rollback completed, and see what is happening now. So now whatever the data which is there, 30 and 10 to 20 is totally gone. What is available is just before 10. Whatever data which you have before 10, that is available. If you mention rollback, it will roll back to the initial state. Okay. So this is what rollback is all about. Okay. So you have to make sure that you apply the rollback appropriately, because you may lose good amount of data if you don't mention them properly. Okay. So it is not mandatory that you have to use save back. It is not mandatory that you have to use save point. Okay. But you have to use them based on the necessary business condition. It all depends upon your particular requirements. Okay. Either save point or rollback, or obviously commit anyway, we have to use it, because you want to persist the database. You want to persist your data in the database, right? Obviously you have to use it. But when to apply your rollback, or when to apply your save points, or when to roll back to a particular save point, it all depends upon your business condition. Okay. So thank you.